So I am pleased to present Vincent Kirkwood, the Executive Director at Playworks and the Commissioner at West Bloomfield's Parks and Recreation Center. Vincent, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So, Vincent, we know that you have recently, your hard work and dedication at West Bloomfield Parks and as an executive director at Playworks has recently earned you a prestigious award and the 40 under 40, which is granted to people who are creating or professionals who are creating a positive impact in our community. Can you tell us a little bit more about what this means to you?
Absolutely. Again, thanks for having me, Diane. So yes, I'm a recipient of the Oakland Together 40 under 40 and very prestigious. I'm very honored and pleased to have gotten this award. It seems as though all of my work from the last, let's say, 15 years has been in Oakland County, trying to make a difference, whether it be with West Bloomfield Parks and Rec, whether it be with Playworks and working in Oakland County schools, worked at MRA for a few years, which is in Oakland County. So it's kind of a situation where it's all being kind of put together and wrapped up into one big bow. All the work that I've done for the last couple of years, so I'm very excited about it.
That is great to hear. Now, as you said earlier, you do have a lot of roles simultaneously. A lot of roles. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna look at my screen right now and just read them. So you are an assistant professor at Wayne State University, a consultant in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and a chair member of West Bloomfield Parks, and also a trustee for Art Road nonprofit, and an executive director at Playworks. That's a huge list, and I'm sorry I had to read that out of my out of my screen. But how have these varied experiences influenced your approach to each role, and how have they contributed and complemented each other?
Well, you missed a couple,
It's a
but that's
long
okay.
list. You do a
It's
lot.
quite a few. It's a lot. It's a lot. Well, you know what? I'll speak to the things that I've done in the local region first. So, as you mentioned, I'm the Parks and Rec Commissioner for the city of West Bloomfield. But what I didn't hear you say is that I'm the founder of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Association that takes place in West Bloomfield. It's a relationship, a partnership rather, with West Bloomfield Parks, West Bloomfield, the township, as well as the library. And we've all come together to create this diversity and inclusion um, task force because we know that in the city of West Bloomfield, there are a ton of different ethnic backgrounds, cultures that need to be celebrated. And one of the things when I thought of this task force maybe 3 years ago, I was thinking that our town is probably one of the most diverse that I've ever seen, let alone lived in, and it's within Oakland County. So we started that. From there, I work with Parks and Rec Commission. So we commission to make sure that the parks and the waterways and the trails and all of that is running smoothly. Then at Playworks, we work in a lot of Oakland County schools as well, to focus on safe and healthy recess, making sure students and kids are getting the proper physical activity that the CDC recommends every day. So we give tips on that. We do actual physical activity at the schools and recess. We talk about how to do physical activity at home to make sure kids are moving and not just playing on their iPads and their tablets. Um, so all of those three things kind of come together with the focus on community, with the focus on bettering society, bettering the folks in Oakland County, bettering the folks in Michigan. And it's a pleasure to do it. I'm really excited about the work that I've done, being recognized for the impact, and that's what it's about. It's about the impact that these programs that I'm trying to launch and start have on the community. Not just the award. The award is great, and it's nice to be recognized, but my thought is, well, how are we impacting the community? How are we coming together? How are the different ethnic backgrounds and cultures coming together to be celebrated within Oakland County and even furthermore within West Bloomfield?
That is a great, and I gotta give it to you. It is when I first came to Oakland County. I'm a new resident of Oakland County, and when I first came here, the most comfortable thing that I got to experience is how welcoming it is, and how welcoming people are here in general, whether it's in events or whether it's how we do. And here's the thing, we never get to meet the people who are working on creating a more an inclusive environment. So again, thank you for being with us today. It's great to know all the work that you are doing. Can you can you tell us a little bit more about one of the most prideful projects you have done here in Oakland community, and that's pushed kind of made you or contributed to you being a member of the 40 under 40?
Absolutely. I'm going to have to say the development of the task force, and I'll give you a quick background story of the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force. Um, I was a member, or I still a member of the Parks and Rec Commission, and I started to see some of the things that were going on in the different towns, and I said, well, these different towns aren't even as close to being as diverse as West Bloomfield. So I sent an email. Now, remember, I'm a commissioner at the time, but I sent an email to the executive director of Parks and Rec, who actually, in a way, reports to me. But I sent an email and I said, hi, this is Vincent Kirkwood, not the commissioner Vincent Kirkwood, but the resident Vincent Kirkwood of West Bloomfield. And I would love to see us do more as it relates to cultural diversity, ethnic diversity, celebrations, things like that. And the executive director at the time said, okay, let's talk about it. So we started to talk about it. We started to think about it and have conversations around what it would look like. That was in 2020. Today we're in 2023. We have over, I want to say, 75 volunteers that help us with events. We started with just an email and a couple of residents, maybe 4 or 5, that were having these Zoom conversations during COVID about what the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force would look like, what it could look like. So to 3 years ago to today, we've got over 75 volunteers from the city of West Bloomfield. We've got state reps that are involved. We've got police involved. We've got library involved. We've done several events that celebrate diversity. It has been more than what I had even imagined 3 years ago when this idea came to fruition. So I'm really thankful for that, because that is the type of impact that I was hoping for. The fact that Blacks could come together, whites could come together, Jewish, Arab Americans, Muslims, all kind of people come together. And you should see us, Diane. We are a force to be reckoned with. When we get together, the ideas are just flowing, the thoughts are flowing. We've had events where we focus on LGBT. We've had events where we focus on the Jewish community. We've had events focus on the Black community. And we're continuing to do that as more volunteers come along, because the whole point is that we get representation from all groups, so that each group can have an opportunity to be celebrated. And who better to do that, who better to bring that in than folks and members of that particular community to come in and help us celebrate that particular group of people in our community. So we're really excited about it.
That is a great way to put it. I always agree with people, including the diversity and including different members of the community and people of different cultures is always an added bonus to us as a community and to America. This is what's great about America. It's inclusivity and the fact that it's so diverse. And when people come together, it's just great, as you mentioned, and you're giving us the best example of it. Now, I wanted to ask you something a little bit more personal. So,
Yeah.
what did inspire you in the first place to become who you are right now? Because I know it is definitely a personal thing that sending out that email in the first place, that must have been uh, an experience to you. Like something must have inspired you to send or to start that work task force in the first place.
Absolutely. That's a great question. I'll have to say that 9 years ago, I got my wife told me she was pregnant with our first child. And I think ever since then, I've had this hunger and this desire to to show, to not just be of lip service to my family, including my wife, my daughter, my son who's 5, my daughter who's 9. But it feels as though since my wife told me that she was pregnant with my daughter, um, I've had this urge to just do and not just talk about it, but be about it and do it. And partly because I want my daughter and my son to grow up in a community where everyone is represented. You know, if you look back into slavery and back, in past times, we weren't always granted the opportunities that we have now. And I believe that it's important. It was a time then that our ancestors did the work. And this is the kind of work we can do right now. This is the kind of work I can do. And it's showing my daughter and my son that in the future, as they get older, there's going to be work that they need to do as well. And you can do that work in your community. You can start locally. You can do it, in Michigan. You can do it nationally. There's a lot of work to be done in our country, and this, what I'm doing, is just a small step in this local community of West Bloomfield and Oakland County, to make a difference. And I think that the inspiration, the passion behind it comes from my kids looking at me, and when they get older, they can say, "Daddy made a difference. Daddy made an impact on the community that we live in." Now, we hope they stay in Oakland County. We'll see. But if they do, great. They'll know that they were a part of the impact that Dad had in this county, in this community. But I'm looking for them to do bigger and better things, and I want to be along for the ride.
That is great. That is a great story, Vincent. You are truly a very inspiring role model, not only to your kids and family, but also to everybody in our community and beyond. Such a great story you just told us. Now, just to wrap this up, what are your future endeavors as a member of the 40 under 40, and what do you say to our community members and to people who are aspiring to create a difference in our community?
Absolutely. So, I'll speak to the first question. My future is kind of untold. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if I want to continue to make impact, and as I continue to do what I'm doing in Parks and Recreation, with Playworks, with the different boards that I sit on, I believe that time will tell what's next for me, what opportunities are out there for me to continue to make a difference and continue to make an impact. So I'm going to say that in 10 years or in the future, as long as I'm making an impact on students, whether it be at the university level, making an impact on community and residents, I would like to continue to be doing that in 10 years. Um, you asked me another question. I forgot what the second part of it was.
Yeah, I was asking you what would you say to children
So,
or
yes,
people in our community to
yes,
if they want to be or they want to impact positive change in Oakland County and beyond Oakland County?
I would say start. And I would say, in reference to what I did, send that email, send that acknowledgement, make that phone call, and start somewhere. Because if I hadn't sent that email one day and just was thinking about it, we would never have had a diversity task force in West Bloomfield. And over 75 people have been volunteering and helping and impacting the community. So without that initial email that I sent, we wouldn't have had what we have here in the city of West Bloomfield and in Oakland County. So I would say to anyone that wants to begin to do something, make a difference, make an impact, to just start. Send that email, make that phone call, write that letter. That is the starting point. And you'll see where you go after that. Look at me. I sent an email in 2020. It's 2023. And the diversity task force is thriving. We're making a difference. We're making an impact, and I'm very excited about it. But I would say to anyone younger than me, older than me, just start. And then from there, your path will take you on to where you need to be.
What a great and inspiring story, Vincent. And thank you so much for all the positive impact you have on our community. And I'm sure you and the task force will continue to do. Anybody who is looking to volunteer with the West Bloomfield Parks, you can connect with them at westbloomfieldparks.com. We will also be sharing the link.
.org, I believe.
.org, I'm
.org.
sorry. So
That's okay.
westbloomfieldparks.org. You can also connect, you can find their emails also. If you want to connect with Vincent, you can email him directly. If you have a great idea for our beloved community, go ahead. Again, as Vincent said, send that email. You never know you never know, you might be the next 40 under 40 leader.
And
Vincent,
even if that email is to me, send it.
Vincent, thank you so much for joining us again.